Welcome to your Astro Forecast for the week of March 25th. I'm Sarah Nicole. This is Twisted Goddess Tarot, and my mission is to help you navigate the cosmic energies with greater awareness. If you're watching right now, you're probably watching the replay. If that's the case, leave a comment so I can come back and say hi to you. If you're new here, we do this every Monday where I chat about what is happening in the skies to bring light to how the week's astrology may affect you. Now, of course, this is going to be on a collective level. How these astrological events affect you personally will depend on how it's interacting with your personal birth chart. All right, so I am going to add a pinned comment here if it will let me. Oh, ooh, I don't know. It's being funny. It's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna let me. That's weird. It used to let me right here on the screen. Okay. I'll add it afterwards. All right, so starting out today, this has already passed actually, but it happened at 3 a.m. this morning, Eastern Standard Time. I'm sure we have heard about it. I actually made a written post about it yesterday to get ahead of the eclipse. So today, Monday, March 25th at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we had the full moon lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Libra. So eclipses are highly transformational and are said to bring about fated events, situations, relationships, and lessons. Now, remember that fate is neither good nor bad. It's simply what is needed for your soul journey right now. We usually have 4 eclipses a year. We have 2 sets of 2. And this year we are kicking off eclipse season today, March 25th. We did that at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we're going to have a new moon eclipse on April 8th. And then later in the year in fall, we're going to have another 2 set of eclipses. So eclipses always occur where the north and south node currently are or where they're about to move into, okay? So that's why fate is brought into this, fate and destiny, right? Because the north and south node represent our soul's path. The north node represents the direction we're meant to head for our soul's growth and the lessons we need to develop and the lessons we need to learn and the attributes we need to develop in this lifetime. Whereas the south node represents the dragon's tail, right? It represents the lessons that we already learned and the attributes we already developed in past lives. And so in our personal birth charts, we all have a personal north node and a personal south node, and that's going to be the direction you're meant to head. You're meant to go in. And then collectively, we all have where the north and south node currently are. So you want to layer that lesson, right? So the nodes shift every 18 months. And so collectively, we have a new mission that we're heading towards, right? A north node mission that we're heading towards that we're all working on learning collectively. Now, this doesn't mean you leave behind your personal north node. It means you want to layer that on top of it. Now, I do want to talk about one thing. So we've been working with the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra, and we have been working with that since July 17th, 2023. And so we've been having eclipses on the Aries-Libra axis since last year. And this is the axis of me versus we. Right? Aries is me. It's related to the first house in astrology. It is related to your identity, your person, your impulses, your needs, your wants, right? And then Libra is related to the we aspect. It's related to the 7th house in astrology. And so it's related to your relationships, your interpersonal style, right? And so that's what we're working on right now. And a lot of astrologists, you'll hear them say to head towards your north node direction, you need to leave behind or release the south node lessons or the south node attributes. And that's not quite 100% accurate because we learned those lessons of the south node and those developed those attributes of the south node for a reason. So when we're talking about the zodiac signs, and I'm sure some of you have heard sister signs, right? Where they're directly across the zodiac from each other. And they're like two sides of the same coin, right? And so that's an axis. That's what that sister sign is an axis. And each one of those axes hold a lesson. And on either side of that axis holds one extreme or the other. And so really what we're called to do, because the North and South Node are in opposition to each other, they're directly opposing each other. Anytime something is directly opposing, it's a call to balance. And so that's what we're really doing. And that's what the eclipses are all about. It's all about shaking things up and bringing in some transformation to get you closer to your soul's path, to show you where maybe you're too heavily relying on this extreme or too heavily relying on that extreme, to kind of balance that out. So when we're looking at this Aries Libra theme that we are working with, this Aries Libra axis that we're working with, we're looking at that me versus us theme. We're looking at, are you over or under prioritizing yourself? We're looking at true independence, not codependence, and not over independence as a trauma response, right? We're looking at trusting our instincts over the need for constant confirmation. And we're looking at true inner peace over the facade of harmony. We're being asked to move towards self-discovery and assertiveness, and to develop independence, self-confidence, and a strong sense of personal identity. So we're being asked to learn to trust our instincts, to insert our needs, to embrace our individuality, to cultivate healthy self-esteem, and to develop the ability to set boundaries. So that's what we're looking at with this eclipse and with this North Node cycle. We may have to see where we have too heavily relied on others for validation, or where we have struggled with making decisions independently. And we are being called to release over dependence on others. That doesn't mean to move towards the over independence as a trauma response, though, right? It means to move towards true independence or interdependence. So eclipses can be really beneficial in redirecting you back on your soul's path, but the energy can feel a little bit chaotic. So let me know if you have felt kind of this high strung energy, or this chaotic energy, or maybe this transformational energy, right? This was happening in Libra. And the moon in Libra makes us crave harmony within ourselves and with other people. So we're being asked to seek balance, create peace, especially within the realm of relationships with others, and the relationship with yourself. So this is was at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time last night. This was a South Node eclipse, but we're still feeling it. Even though it happened at 3 a.m., we're still feeling it, right? So this is a South Node eclipse, meaning that the lessons, situationships, or relationships from the past will be illuminated, because full moons are all about illumination, right? Making things seen. That phrase, what happens in the dark always comes to light. A full moon can bring that about. Okay. So, these lessons, situations, or relationships from the past will be illuminated to see them more clearly. And some may reach a completion or a culmination point. So the time between the lunar eclipse on March 25th today and the solar eclipse on April 8th is expected to be transformational, with big changes and shifts. I have been recommending people to kind of sit with it, right? I've had a couple people reach out and ask for readings because they felt this really chaotic energy, felt maybe like they were in crisis mode, and I've kind of recommended to sit with that. Wait until after the solar eclipse on April 8th. Just sit in that energy and surrender, because things may be transforming and being chaotic in order to reorganize to get you back on your soul's path, right? The more will be revealed after the solar eclipse on April 8th. And so I have been kind of recommending for people to just sit with it, sit in the tension, sit in the chaotic energy, and just surrender to it. Because that's what eclipses bring fate into question, right? Fate and destiny, and we don't want to be working against fate. Of course, we have free will and we can choose to interact with what fate offers us, but we certainly don't want to be interfering with it. So I just say sit back, sit in the chaos, and surrender through the chaos. And I do recommend to not make any big, major, life-altering decisions in between eclipses. Again, it's that, like, just sit with it energy, right? That's kind of the energy that it is. So that's what we have for the eclipse. We're going to be talking more about the April 8th eclipse as we get closer to that date, of course. But just because the eclipse is over, it doesn't mean we're done. We're in the eclipse period, right? So we're still going to be feeling this kind of maybe chaotic transformational energy, shake up energy until April 8th and a little bit beyond that, actually. But I did make a post yesterday about the eclipse and based on your rising sign, where that was activating within your chart, what area of life. So definitely go back and look at that, because mine was in my second house of resources and finances and personal resources. And yeah, this morning my ferrets racked up $1,000 bill at the vet. So, you know, you can't make that stuff up, right? You can't make that stuff up. So on Friday, March 29th, we have Goddess Asteroid Pallas stationing retrograde at 8 degrees Sagittarius. It's going to re-enter Scorpio on May 16th while it's retrograde, and then it will station direct at 19 degrees Scorpio on July 9th. So we're having Pallas, the Goddess Asteroid Pallas, stationing retrograde until July 9th. Goddess Asteroid Pallas is named after Pallas Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom. She represents our intellectual and creative strategy. Where she is in your birth chart can show you your approach to life or your strategy, your strategic game plan, if you will, right? So while she's retrograde, it's a time to slow down and review your current strategy. So while she's retrograding through Sagittarius is all about the bird's eye view, right? The broad spectrum, expanded horizons, freedom to explore. And so while she is moving through Sagittarius, you're being asked to review your optimism, to your ability to explore new terrains, seeking new understanding. It's kind of like, hey, when your strategy has needed to redirect or adjust, have you allowed yourself to do that? Or have you kind of stuck really in this fixed mindset of this is the way we do things and this is the way they've always been done and this is the way they need to be done? So it's asking for a bit of flow, right? It's asking for a bit of adaptability, of freedom to explore. Once Pallas moves back into Scorpio on May 16th, you're asked to review if you are following your intuition and how deep you are looking into situations. You see, Scorpio is all about the depths, everything that is underneath the surface. But too deep, looking too deeply at things is sometimes just as troublesome as looking too shallow, right? And not looking deep enough. So that's our Goddess Asteroid Pallas. And then on Sunday, March 31st, we have Goddess Asteroid Vesta entering Cancer until June 19th. And now Goddess Asteroid Vesta represents our sacred flame, what keeps your fire burning bright. Vesta, which is related to Hestia in Greek mythology, is associated with the hearth, a symbol for warmth and the center of the home. It also means focus. So Vesta understands that it takes devotion to sustain passion. In Cancer, there's a need for devotion to your emotions. Taking time to feel and honor your emotions, nurturing and caring for loved ones, but also allowing yourself to be nurtured and cared for too. Yes, by others, but also by yourself. Self-care here. When Vesta is in Cancer, it's really a time for self-care. Remember, it's also a time to remember that all emotions are sacred and are teachers, not just the pleasant ones. For those who have been in my October shadow work immersions in the past, you all know we've talked about it, that emotions teach us something. Anger is a teacher. Guilt is a teacher. Shame is a teacher. All of them are teachers, not just the pleasant ones, right? So that's really going to be a time to dive in. And are you tuning into your emotions? Are you in devotion to your emotions? Are you allowing your emotions to be your teacher and listening to them, listening to your body, right? So that's what we have for astrology for this week. If you missed anything in the beginning, this will be available for the replay so that you can come back and catch the beginning, or so that you can rewatch it throughout the week if you'd like. Also, I did want to make one note. The other side of my business, Twisted Goddess Crystals, is having a sale today and tomorrow. I talked about my ferrets racking up a 1K bill at the vet this morning. And so you can use the code Ferret Fund. I'm going to put a comment whenever I come back to the replay. Ferret Fund, all one word, FERRET. FUND, to save 20% off. You can put in that code at checkout at twistedgoddesscrystals.com. That excludes services and my handmade macrame jewelry and handmade malas, but everything else 20% off. So your towers, your carvings, your spheres, your freeforms, flames, raw specimens, tumbles, palm stones, all of that, you can get 20% off to help me recoup some of that vet bill. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful week. Much love.